Tom here knows how to read. Hi, Tom. But he's having lots of trouble with the heavy load of readings for classes. Sometimes he doesn't understand what he reads, or when he takes tests, he can't seem to remember all the information he read. But worst of all, when he has to write a long essay using the readings, he doesn't know what to write. Don't worry, Tom. Let's go over some strategies to turn you into a super reader so you can read and think critically, annotate efficiently, and remember what you read. Okay, but how do you read critically, and how do you know what to annotate? Before you even look at a reading, you have to know your purpose for reading. Are you reading to extract information that you'll be tested on? Are you reading to write an essay? Or are you simply reading something for pleasure? Your purpose will depend on how you interact with the text. Once you know your purpose, skim the text for clues and information. First, examine the title because it will give you clues about the author's main point. Next, examine if the author's credentials are listed anywhere to get a sense of who the author might be. Finally, if there are section titles, read through them to see what topics are covered. After briefly skimming, read each paragraph carefully for comprehension and start annotating. You can underline or circle words you don't know and write the synonym above it. If there is anything confusing, note it and possibly talk it over with a classmate or a teacher. Instead of underlining and highlighting everything, underline or highlight the main point of the writing and the evidence that's used to support each point. I like to identify these highlighted sections by writing an E next to passages containing evidence. You can also use flags or write on a piece of paper. Finally, to really boost comprehension, write 1 to 2 sentences after each paragraph, summarizing each one in your own words. You can do this in either the margins, a post-it note, or a piece of paper. This helps so much with not only comprehension, but also with recalling information later on for a quiz or a test, because instead of passively skimming through information, you're actively trying to put it in your own words and explain what something means. You're more likely to remember information if you can explain it in your own words. If you have to write an essay about a text, but you don't know what to write about, this last step is for you. In order to be an active or critical reader, you need to respond to what you read. While the previous step was all about comprehension and simply making sure you understand what you read, this step is about analysis and synthesis. In order to respond to a text, pay attention to your emotions while reading. What are your reactions to what you read? Are you intrigued, surprised, shocked, confused, bored? Explain why a passage makes you feel a certain way. Is it the wording, the imagery, or the ideas that make you feel that way? Again, write them down or flag them. The next tip for active reading is to question everything. Authors have choices when they write, and they choose certain words and images and ideas to portray. As a critical reader, you need to ask yourself and answer why you think an author is using certain language or imagery or presenting ideas in a unique way. Tie those questions and answers you come up with to larger points or themes from the reading. This will give you lots to write about. The next tip to responding to a reading is to explain your agreements and disagreements. Use your personal experiences to connect with what you read. For example, based on your life experiences, do you agree with the ideas in a given reading? Or would your experiences call for disagreement? Reflecting on who you are and your background is a great way to explore why theories in readings may or may not work. Finally, respond to a reading by synthesizing information. When we synthesize, we draw connections between 2 or more ideas to make a point. Ask yourself what the ideas, imagery, and language in the reading remind you of. This is the most sophisticated step because you can combine it with other strategies mentioned earlier. For example, when you synthesize information, you can ask hypothetical questions to apply ideas from one text to another. For example, What if we apply X's theory to this work? What would that reveal? Another example of synthesis is connecting pieces of evidence from different sources. How are the two related, and why is it important to connect them? When you synthesize, you demonstrate critical thinking, so it's super important you use the skill when you write essays. It looks like Tom is officially a super reader, which in turn makes him a better writer. Great job, Tom!